Go.
We're on. We're live.
Okay. Randy Atkins, President of the Area Planning Commission. I've been asked to put my teacher voice on, so I will do my best as a retired administrator. I understand how important it is that we use our teacher voices, so I will do that. And please, if there are other members of this subcommittee who you would like to speak up, feel free to let us know that, and we'll do our best. So at this time, we will bring the Area Planning Commission Data Center Subcommittee meeting to order on March 11th. If you would, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance again.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Glancy, if you would, please do roll call for the subcommittee.
I didn't make one, so. Well, we just added 2 members, so give me a break. Cale Grindle.
Here.
Ed Hartman.
Here.
Gary Duckwall.
Here.
And then our new members are
Nolan
Holloway. Here. Okay. And Molly
Early.
Early.
Yes.
Okay.
Earley.
Well, let me know if I do not pronounce your name correctly at any time.
Bud Shelton.
Shelton. Okay. I knew I was missing one.
Randy
Is that what you
Atkins.
want? Is that the name you'd like to use?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Randy Atkins. Okay, with that being said, this is our first meeting, so we really don't have any minutes to approve, so we will pass on item 3. We will move to item 4, new business. The purpose of this subcommittee is to work in the direction of creating a data center ordinance that we can recommend to the Area Planning Commission for their approval, in which the Area Planning Commission is a recommending body to the legislative branch of county government. So we would then recommend the ordinance to the commissioners for their final approval and adoption of an ordinance. So that is our purpose. We are intending to be transparent with the inclusion of community members as well as the Area Planning Commission. So that is that's our mission. So with that being said, Mr. Glancy has prepared some documents that he put on the table back there, which will be reference documents for the progress that the Area Planning Commission has made up to this point in an attempt to address the issue of a data center ordinance. So with that being said, are these online, Todd, as well?
I have not put these online since they're.
Okay. Okay.
If you email me, you can email me and I'll send them out to you.
Okay. So with that being said, what I'm going to ask Executive Director Glancy to do is to begin with an overview of these documents. So Todd, you got the floor.
I think before we start going,
You're going to have to
overview
speak
of all
loud,
the documents. Yeah, overview of all the documents. So the first document that we put together for the APC is Indiana Data Center Review Concepts, and that was, I drafted it 10/31/25. I presented that to the APC. We've not been approached. There's no been businesses or companies or anything. This is just an obvious thing that's going on within the state and across the country, and we need to be prepared for it. It's that simple. There's nothing else behind it. So the first step within that document was really to review where Indiana's at, where some Indiana counties at that time is probably dated at this point, and links to some of their existing ordinances around data centers. The first step is to define a data center and what is it. We, as a committee, as an APC committee, we didn't really dive into any of these things in depth. They were things for the committee overall to chew on and provide feedback. And then some definitions, because we need to be using the right terms and the correct terms and using terms in the same way so we have clear communication. And so anytime you want to look through theirs, it's full of a lot of links to different counties and their ordinances. And then just some actionable items on item 4 on page 7. You know, what this means for Grant County. You know, the use of the districts. And one of the things that you'll see throughout the documents is crypto mining is defined separately. So crypto mining or Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it, is treated separately than a data center. Or at least that's what's proposed. All these documents are proposals. It's just a framework, a scaffolding to build upon a final ordinance. And then a lot of definitions and key terms. Okay? So that's the first document that went out. And
Committee members, any questions in regard to what Director Glancy has presented to us in regard to that document? Not at this time. Thank you, Mr. Glancy. Go ahead.
And then from like data gathering was the first document before going directly into ordinance writing. Any kind of big document that's detailed, you put together an outline, like major topics, major bullet points that we want to cover. And so that was the second document. That was, I put a date of 12/8/25. I believe that was when I drafted it. And so that's a higher level outline of things that, you know, what's the purpose and intent of an ordinance at the end of the day. Is to establish clear modern standards for siting and operation of data centers in Grant County. I think it's important to go over these points. And to balance economic development with protection of local infrastructure, utilities, and residential environments. C is to ensure transparency, lawful use, and long-term community benefit. And provide a predictable requirements for developers and clear oversight for the APC and the Board of Zoning Appeals, the BZA. The BZA is the organization, the board that will approve special exceptions. That is, if we put in the ordinance that a data center would need a special exception. Maintain local control while aligning with state-level expectations for large energy users. And I expect everyone in this room wants to maintain local control. I'm not. Okay. The rest of it is applicability. Sorry about that. It's like, what are they? And what kinds of centers are we talking about? Definitions of a data center again, permitted zoning districts, and all these things under that, we'll get into more detail as we work through the ordinance. Minimum site standards, setbacks and buffers, noise and vibration standards, and let's see, 6, 7, noise and health considerations. which is different than noise and vibration. We're talking about the health, your health. Vibration standards from a structural vibration standpoint for structural neighborhoods and homes. Communication and infrastructure compatibility. Lighting standards. Water and cooling system requirements. Electrical power and grid coordination. Traffic, road, and construction standards. Landscaping, screening, and fencing, environmental safety requirements, annual transparency report, and annual BZA compliance hearing, transparency and public access, decommissioning requirements, enforcement, recommended additional community benefit options, and then a summary of the key protections for Grant County. So that's a real high-level overview of the outline, and this is an area where if there's an area we're missing, we want to be able to include it. That's what we're here for. And so then the last document, the APC,
to take a look at, because that will be our intent, is to make sure that we hear what your concerns are. And if there are concerns, as Mr. Glancy has indicated, that are not in the outline, we would ask that you share those with us. Not that we can promise or guarantee that they'll be in there, but at least we want to make sure we give you the opportunity to share your thoughts. Subcommittee members, any additional comments in regard to the outline?
Does any of our neighboring counties have a current data center?
ordinance.
Yes.
The ones that I found in my October search is all listed in that first document.
Okay. That
was back in October. I don't remember if it's in
Okay.
actual neighboring counties are listed in there or not, and they may have brought something on board since then.
Okay.
And that was the first request that the Area Planning Commission placed upon Director Glancy, was to take a look at what other ordinances were out there so that we could kind of just see where they were. And he has noted those on this first document, 103125. So the other ordinances of counties, whether they're joining or not, are noted on this page or on this paper.
Thank you.
Continue, Mr. Glancy.
So then from the outline, the Area Plan Commission asked me to take that outline and use that to have a scaffolding for actual ordinance language. And so that's the last document, and I've handwritten at the top to the right that was presented at the March 2nd, 2026 APC meeting. But we did not do anything with it. It's got a draft across the top of it. And this is just scaffolding for us, all of us, to be able to fill in the details. So that's where we're at in the process. And it basically goes through the same major bullet points that the outline does.
Give the subcommittee a minute here to take a look at that. And I'll offer the opportunity for subcommittee members to make any comments in regard to this before we move forward. Okay, Mr. Hartman, comments?
I would like to see the high impact zone be the only place where a data center could be located. That would require the Area Plan Commission to do a rezoning, which would then be approved by the commissioners. And then also add to it adoption of a special exception by the BZA. That gets all boards involved in the zoning process.
Mr. Hartman, could you explain for those of us who may not understand completely what a high impact zone actually is?
Well, it's meant to be an industrial zone, and it would be, they would apply for that, and the APC could set aside ground in a high impact zone if somebody wanted, if there was a plan to do it that way. But otherwise, that would be their first step, was apply for a rezoning of whatever land they want to occupy to a high impact zone. And the Area Plan Commission would then consider that. Now, that would be a fairly restrictive zone. It is the same thing that was used in the solar ordinance.
Mr. Hartman, is there and I don't know, but is there any zoning for something that I would term as buffer ground between the high impact zone and a residential zone? Is there any zoning for?
That would be like a setback.
Okay.
And these data centers tend to be very loud, have a continuous droning noise to them that carries quite a distance in open land. I would expect we should do everything we could to control the sound around them, and also to have a significant setback so that residents are not kept up all night or suffer ill effects from that constant droning noise.
Are there data behind anything yet? Like on an individual generator, they give data of the decibel or the drone that it might put off. Mm-hmm. Is there any data available for compound generators, meaning not one running, but now two, now three?
Or like in Fort Wayne, where they're applied to have 170 some diesel generators, standby diesel generators. But of course, to make sure things stand by, you have to run them rather frequently to make sure they'll start up and run as they should. Those kind of things. You may need sound enclosure or something to make that less noise. It'd be like living next to a truck stop where there's 100 and some semi trucks running at a high throttle, rather than an idle like they normally sit at a truck stop. That's a lot of things. And so I think there should be a careful limit on how much noise is allowed, knowing that these are going to run 24 hours a day, every day of the year. And I think that, at the property line, we should be rather aggressive in pushing that limit down. Because, it may cost more to comply with our ordinance. But we're looking out for our people too. So I think that's really a big consideration.
May I?
Sure.
So in section G, noise and vibration, and the way a lot of solar and wind also go by this general standard is, I put in there 55 decibels, but we can change these kind of measurements any way we want. But you limit the noise and vibration levels at the property lines,
Right.
So that whatever noise they can generate, it stops at the property lines. Not at the resident's home, at the property line.
Right.
Unless you guys want to make it from the resident's home, but I think we're wanting to make things by the property line. So that's the way that's,
Right.
Right.
what we've set it up to handle. We can set it up any way you'd like. And then I can pull up those kinds of studies on and references, and we can get that also from the community if they have references on, noise and vibration standards. All data's we'll take a look at to support our guideline.
The question I want to toss out is on the first page there under definitions, number 2, backup power systems. I see that, batteries are mentioned. Is there a need for a battery ordinance in order to put specifics to what battery backup could be?
I would say yes.
Yes, we didn't allow battery storage on solar farms in our ordinance because, for one thing, we didn't absolutely believe they were needed. And we felt like if they were, we would have to do a separate ordinance for battery storage. So we let that one go at the time. Yeah, we would have to do some study and put something in there for a battery ordinance. What they would need a backup battery for is if power does suddenly drop, there's got to be something that maintains the power so that the computers don't crash until the backup generators start to fulfill that. So it may only be 20 seconds worth, but it's a lot of power.
On the setbacks and buffers,
Hold on, Nolan, can we, just for a second?
Yeah.
On that note, are we limiting the types of backup power and energy sources? Because the technology's not there yet, but the small modular nuclear reactors are quickly becoming a thing, and I think obviously would require an ordinance, but I think that should be if we approve it, it should be an option. Because that could lessen demand on the grid.
Okay.
and setbacks and buffers, I just think we need to revisit that and maybe look at broadening our horizons.
Which section is that?
B, 5B on the December 8th document. 5B. And what is the setback on solar, Ed, in our ordinance?
It's
Residential property line?
it's 750 feet on one side. No, I'm sorry. It's 500 feet on one side, 750 feet on a second side, and no third or fourth side allowed at all. No encircling of residents with a solar field. Now, I think that data centers are a lot of noise compared to a solar farm. So I think the setback needs to be much larger for a residence, possibly a couple of miles.
You got 200 feet. Yeah, I'm not happy. I wouldn't be happy with that.
No, that'd be in my front yard,
Yeah.
you know, and that'd be close, really,
Yeah.
200 feet. You know, you think about that, that's less than a football field.
Yeah. And another thing is on my mind too is there, if memory serves me right, there is a Bitcoin mining in that. Is that in Gas City?
It's north of it, near 69.
But it is in Grant County.
It is in Grant County.
Okay.
it has grown from it first went in.
And what ordinance did that fall under? Or is
None
that-
at the time, really.
Okay.
And I kind of question how much difference is there between their operation than a data center, other than probably size.
I have no idea. I would like to find the
Computer.
location of that and go see it if I could. I have no idea where it's at.
I think the question, Nolan, and I don't know that I have the answer, is to whether that is annexed under Marion, which means that it would be under the control of the Marion City Council, so forth.
Sure.
I hope that everyone understands that the cities who are not necessarily part of the Area Planning Commission of Grant County, they stand alone on their own in regard to the ordinance that they create, and that the county has no jurisdiction over what they choose to do within the annexed area of the cities. That is correct, isn't it?
That is correct. We're for county only. And also towns that are in area plan.
Jerry, commission member, you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Nolan that's at 100 North on the west side of I-69 at that dead end.
Okay.
That's where it's at.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Okay. Yeah, it's nothing. I already know it's nothing to the scale of what we're talking about here, but it's still. I was just curious on the if the ordinance and if there was anything in place.
I think that those should be included in this ordinance. Any kind of Bitcoin, any kind of data center, any of that should be included.
Well, but here again, I'm going to repeat that.
Right.
We have no jurisdiction as the County Area Planning Commission for cities who have annexed that area and have developments within that area.
Correct, over the current one, understandable.
She's just saying.
I'm saying
going
moving forward, that those types of, they're a data center at their core. They're a data center. They have multiple computers, multiple servers, mining fake coins. So that should be included in this ordinance as well.
For any additional ones that may be proposed within
Correct.
the county.
Correct.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay.
I mean, if we were to push the sound level down that they had to comply with at the property line, then maybe we could go less as far as a distance away. But, there's some things they can do to reduce sound levels. If they got down to 33 decibels, it wouldn't be a hazard.
Correct.
Do we know a general out in the county, just baseline, just as the wind blows, normal average day?
Ambient noise
Yeah.
level? No, but I suppose
It
it's
can't be
pretty.
below that.
Yes. Can't be below that.
Yeah.
Right. But, that's an average of time.
40
40? Okay, that's,
by the normal, what normally
that's pretty
people
quiet.
measure the decibels by. There's like 3 different ways you can measure noise.
because a whisper's like in the 50s, is that correct?
I think it's less than that.
On that same December 8th document, 2B, applicability and cryptocurrency mining is not included and is considered a separate use. Do we have anything currently as far as an ordinance for cryptocurrency mining?
No, we do not.
Is that
And
something?
that's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
All this is just a
Oh, yeah, no,
suggestion. We can,
I understand that. I'm just asking questions.
yeah.
For all intents and purposes, that's not, the two industries are not dissimilar. So one ordinance could be applied to the Bitcoin mining too, so we could kind of kill 2 birds if we choose to.
May I?
Please.
We'd have to really look at the definition of data center and what they do and how they function. Data centers hold data or cloud, and then they also generate computing power or AI, okay, and other computing power. Bitcoin does not do those functions, It's just mining Bitcoin. So it's not a storage center for all of us, or does it do computing power for all of us? It's a private thing that has clients. And I suppose a big data center to have clients too, but that's for cloud storage. So the purpose is very different, and that's why we separated it at this point. We want to add it together. We'll have to broaden the definition of the data center, which is fine. Or we can develop a Bitcoin.
Well, if we do the data center ordinance, it could be extremely similar for a Bitcoin if we choose to go there.
Okay.
Crypto, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
And a lot of the issues are the same. I understand that.
Same principle.
Other thoughts, subcommittee members?
The question that I have that I'm not seeing here, and it may just be again because I'm brand new to all of this, so please excuse the slight naivety here. I don't see anything in here about punishment if they don't adhere to once this is passed, and if they adhere to everything when they build. But what happens if they do build and then start violating the ordinance?
19.
May I?
Sure.
In the ordinance draft, the last document, March 2nd, letter P on page 6 is enforcement.
Okay.
And again, it's a great big area, and I've been with you here. We need to write in what we want to put in for enforcement.
Okay.
And along with enforcement, that's why we need to have a lot of transparency on what's going on. We can ask for reports, annual reports, to be able to have data to be able to do the enforcement.
Sure.
Is that?
Yes,
Oh.
answers the preliminary questions, sure.
I got something else. I don't know which section this would fall under, but do we have any power as APC to secure protections for neighbors and community members as far as utility price hikes?
I don't think we do. That's the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission's area.
And I guess I could,
Did.
yeah, I guess I could probably expand that to eminent domain issues as well for infrastructure.
Yeah, eminent domain for utilities. Which running utilities to it might be where it could be used. I don't know that any other way it could be used.
Because unless they're building right underneath the high power line, their substation, they'd have to go through somebody, and that person may not want to participate.
They may have to go through the regulatory commission to get additional power.
Mr. Clancy, did you do some research whether we can ask for power usage from a data center, just to kind of monitor what they're actually using, whether it be water or electricity, or is that not within our reasonable request?
We can ask for those reports and put those stipulations in the actual ordinance, and then the BZA can also add that as conditions
Okay.
for annual reporting or monthly reporting, and that's up to the boards. Now, I haven't done a deep dive on whether we can require them to bring their own power.
That was going to be my next question.
That rides the line of the utility question. We don't have much to say when they pull off of what's on the grid. We don't have much
Can we
power there.
require a certain percentage comes from on-site solar if they, say if roof loads permit? employ solar panels on the roofs or something to that effect?
I'd take more research, and I think that is what I'd like from this subcommittee is tell me what to dig into, and I'll dig into it.
I think we should, because it's
Okay.
going to be a huge complex. It only makes sense to something like solar panels or something like that they could
To
generate.
utilize the roof space. To utilize the roof
Yeah.
space, yeah.
Well,
Wouldn't they have small coolers up there though to cool the systems?
Yeah, but that doesn't go across the entire span. They're generally pretty compact.
Okay.
It really is a drop in the bucket on the amount of electricity they're going to
Sure.
use. It's solar. If you see a solar farm next to a data center, it's really mostly for show because it can't even begin to provide the electric.
Other thoughts, subcommittee members?
Yes, one issue I saw that arised from the solar ordinance fight was the lack of recorded leases, agreements, or permits, or whatever for when they were supposed to record it here at the county building for leases and whatnot. Is that something we could also add, like a requirement of?
Yeah, now that's put into existing solar ordinance that was passed, that they do have to record the leases within, I think it might have been 45 days of signing. I'm not sure exactly on the dates. It's 30 or 45, but anyway,
And how do
we put that in there because solar companies were leasing, you know,
and how do we enforce that if we don't know what's happening?
after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was also a requirement in the solar ordinance to put a large sign 4x8 on the property that was leased within, I believe, 30 days of signing or something like that. It was in there so that people would know what's happening. I think those would be good things to have, that we're not left in the dark of what's going on
Sure.
by non-disclosure agreements that they sign with people that sign options to sell, or even government officials who want to stay mum about what's going on.
I suppose those would be questions that need to be posed to Mr.
Yes,
Glickfield.
like no non-disclosure
Yeah.
agreements for government officials. I think something like that could go in an ordinance.
I'm
One
trying to
que-
just think how to word that, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Gail?
Another question I had was, this was on the ordinance outline, that was, what was it, December? What does number 19B, section 2, what does restoration of a land to a stable condition mean? What does stable mean? I think that needs to be more clearly defined.
Could we state it as not stable, but restoration to land before the center was built to the same level?
They can say whatever we want to say, but I just wanted more clarification on what that particular statement meant.
You're suggesting original state.
Yes.
So to do that, we would require soil testings and mineral content.
I don't know that we should take it that far, but leave it soil types that were there before construction, maybe bring it back to same or similar soil structure and types.
I think what Bud's suggesting, you don't rip the topsoil off of it and put subsoil back down where nothing's
Yeah.
going to grow.
Sure.
Yeah, that's normally done when you build a warehouse. strip off the topsoil and have a clay base from a borrow pit.
As well as depth, so whatever that topsoil is.
Yeah.
I'd also think that water testing should be done with that too. From de-shedding, for when they pull that topsoil off, they have to de-shed that water to be able to put that foundation in. So whatever they add to that or take away from that, they should have to put back or pay for the cleanup.
Now, Todd, have you looked into the building itself? Are they usually like building warehouses and they're filling them with racks of computers? Could this be a useful building even if the business failed and moved out?
I haven't done a deep dive on that. I don't have references for that. I think that's a very legitimate concern. Dude, if we look at how fast this is all happening across the country and how no one really knows how much we need, at some point there's going to be a bubble made and there's going to be some of these buildings sitting around unused because they overbuilt. That's the history of this country. We overbuild at first. And can the building be used for something else?
Because technology is going to improve significantly and the storage capability may go way up with improved chips so that not as many of them might be needed.
I'm thinking if we will look down that road, how do we put that in the ordinance?
Yes.
You know,
It could be part of the decommissioning section.
Yes.
If maybe a little more lenient on the decommissioning side if there are other uses for the building. Instead of tearing it down and returning it, if it can be sold or converted to something useful.
Yeah. Like a factory that had real jobs for the
Repurposed,
county.
yeah.
Yeah.
it'd certainly be built by code standards. But then is it so specialized? I don't know the answer to that question. Do you want me to look into it?
Well, maybe we need to provide in the decommissioning if this is a useful building that we would want to keep. I know that's kind of a new idea, but might work out.
Big picture thought,
Yeah.
if one of these buildings was decommissioned and able to be repurposed, should a decommissioning portion be put in there that the company would pay for any new code enforcements that would have changed over the years from when they originally built it to
Upgrade it,
upgrade it, so the county doesn't eat that cost?
kind of like when you remodel a house. If you remodel a large portion of it, you have to bring the whole building up to code,
Correct.
something like that.
So that's already in Indiana code,
Okay,
is if a building changes use, then they have to go back to the state with a commercial design release to make sure that it fits that change of use.
Right.
but who?
So if it's a data center and then it turns into a warehouse, that'd be a change of use.
Okay.
Although I bet data center's not in code yet, but I would think that would be a change of use.
Right.
And then they'd have to go through a commercial design release and get released by the state of the design of the building, whatever they're going to do to it.
And do they have to then pay for all of that, or does that burden come back to the Grant County taxpayer
That would be on whoever's going to do
to buy it?
the next use.
Okay. Just think, as a citizen, my biggest concern is just protecting everybody in this room's bottom dollar. So,
Now, I'll take that back a little bit. That depends on what happens. I mean, if the company goes under and doesn't pay their taxes, and then we end up with the building. Thinking worst case scenario, no one
Sure.
wants that to happen.
That's
Then the
why
county owns it.
we need that financial bond so that if they do go out, we still have the money to do the decommissioning.
I don't know if I-
Other comments, subcommittee members?
Yeah, this may be a question for Raymond, but is there anything in their drainage board approval?
They'd have to meet the Indiana code,
that-
but they can do retention and detention, limit their discharge.
Okay.
Their discharge can be checked for contaminants or that type of thing. Indiana code would allow for the testing of the water so that they're not releasing it, polluting.
can it be tested for heat? And let me explain what I'm saying by that, because the research I have done on these, when they discharge the cooling water back into the drainage ditches, it's not the same temperature that they took it out, and that's killing wildlife, native plants, farms.
Wouldn't be anything for the Grant County drainage board.
Right.
No, that would be IDEM. They would regulate that. On the water usage, there's other ways of cooling rather than just using water. Can we dictate the method of cooling that they would use? I believe it's a closed loop system, and the chemical they use is propylene glycol.
Like an
Is
antifreeze.
that, yeah? And they would use that in a closed loop system and go down and bring it back up and use it to recirculate that. I didn't know if we could tailor that cooling method in an ordinance.
I don't think we should dictate how they run, how they do that, because it doesn't necessarily sit right with me. Just telling how to break through the laws of thermodynamics. I would suspect as technology advances, that's going to change, and if we limit their ways of cooling, that's going to put undue burden on them, I think.
But I think we can put conditions upon how that cooling system is going to work so that it doesn't impact the environment or the people surrounding.
Sure, at least with water, it's not going to kill literally everything, whereas something like an antifreeze spill obviously is an environmental concern. So we'd have protections as far as what chemicals are in the coolants and stuff like that.
So can we state it as in, we're not going to tell them what cooling system they have to use, but if they choose cooling system A, it has to follow this rule, cooling system B has to follow this rule?
I suppose that's dictated by the EPA anyways, right?
May I?
Please.
So in the last document, again, our scaffolding of the ordinance in section F on page 3, cooling and water use. There's 6 points. Cooling technology shall be disclosed in the application. And so what we're setting as the APC is what we want to really put in the application for the BZA to look at, to be able to meet the criteria for the BZA to set a special exception. And there's 5 criteria for that it doesn't harm neighbors, doesn't harm the environment, et cetera, et cetera. The second item is air-cooled or closed-loop systems are preferred, but evaporative systems shall demonstrate water use minimization and drift control. So these are the plans that we want to see the BZA to be able to rule upon, whether they get the special exception or not. Number 3, the operator shall submit an annual water usage report, including total annual gallons used, peak daily and peak flow rates. And then we want reports on that. That comes in the reporting later in the ordinance. And then which follows up with enforcement of that reporting. Any increase exceeding 15% year over year shall require written notice to the Area Plan Commission. Again, that number we can set at whatever we want. We have to be reasonable, but we can set that number. Operations shall not cause measurable degradation of neighboring wells consistent with Indiana Code 1425-4. And the last one, which number 5 is what we're really all extremely worried about. Number 6 is the board may require baseline well sampling and periodic monitoring where warranted. And that board means the BZA. We can put those powers in place for the BZA to carry out. And then the area plan office to enforce.
Okay.
So with that, I'm looking at the water expert here. Does that sound like a good place to start and start massaging that?
It does. I mean, but how do you back up on water usage if it's influencing other people? And, you know, I don't know. To me, the study needs to be going in to see how much water's out wherever they're at. You know, I mean, up north, Marion draws their water from up north, Huntington, and they sit on the Taze Aquifer. Well, we don't. We sit somewhere else. It's not an endless supply.
For the sake of time, subcommittee members, we're going to allow us to express our thoughts for the next 5 minutes. We've got a lot of folks here with us tonight. I want to make sure that we honor their opportunity to share with us. So we'll go for another 5 minutes. At 8 o'clock, we'll open it up to the public. 4 minutes now. So subcommittee members, continue to share, please.
Logan Sport, at the ethanol plant up there, they drilled a big cooling well there, and they affected the residents around it. Just saying that they significantly depleted the well or the water around their area, and they had to abandon that process. So. Not knowing the water's there could end up with construction that's not even going to be used. So,
How was that, the size of that facility compared to what we're talking about here?
I don't know.
But you know what they did with the discharge water after usage?
They cooled it. They had another adjacent well that they cooled it off.
They dump it back in?
Yeah, they dump it into a separate, I believe. So,
Was it tested for impurities and so forth?
that I don't know.
It dumped it into a well, back to the water table.
Yeah.
Make sure that was tested with.
Pretty sure this is similar to what they're doing in New Carlisle, Indiana, with the Amazon data center up there. So they've de-shed a ton of water, lowering the water table, and then the cooling systems are not replenishing the aquifers as fast as needed.
Yeah.
Other comments, subcommittee members? Got a couple
Ma'am?
minutes.
Real quick.
Todd?
So within these particular sites, I'd be really interested in if, and this is proposed in K4, or almost all of section K, is before it goes to the BZA for the special exception, that this water and cooling report and a plan is put into place. I'd be really interested to see if there was a plan and a study that was done prior to them building, and then if the plan looked anything like reality. And that information would give us more information on how to design ours. I'm sure there would have a plan. A study was done beforehand?
I would say so. They applied to IDEM for their permit. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Other comments, Todd?
No.
One thing I think we might want to include, in fact, I think we ought to include it as a property value guarantee for nearby residents.
And see if other neighboring ordinances include the same language.
Final comments, subcommittee members, questions? All right. I want to thank you guys for your input. Appreciate that. Appreciate everyone in attendance tonight. At this time, if you'd like to speak, I'm going to ask that you state your name and address and sign your name on the sheet at the podium. Not necessary to write your address. You may not want everyone to know that on paper. I'm going to ask that your comments be respectful. I'm going to ask that we not use names of other individuals, that accusations in reference to others are not made. I'm going to ask that the audience refrain from comments or discussion. We'd like for you to hold those till you get to the podium. If Mr. Lickfield was here, which he's not, I would ask that we not direct questions toward him because he does serve as the commission legal counsel. And I don't want to put a time limit on things at this point. I don't like that. But, out of the sake of time, I'd like for you to just keep your comments brief and direct to the point so that we subcommittee members can benefit from the input that you have. So at this time, we'll honor anyone who'd like to speak.
I'll go first. Hi, I'm June Brown. I live in Sweetser. Nice to meet y'all. Thanks for having this meeting to help us all get our heads wrapped around possible data center coming to little old Grant County. So as you were speaking, I noticed a lot of times you were saying, can we do this? Can we do that? And I want to say that I've done research for other states, cities, and counties, and they were battling this same thing, not knowing, because it's new technology, it's just new. It's new to the environment, it's scary. Not knowing what they could and couldn't do. Not realizing how strict they can be with their ordinance. You guys can put anything you want in there. It's our county. It's our people that you're protecting. We don't want to kowtow to the corporation. We're here to protect us, to protect our water, our electricity, our property value, our environment, our mental health. So there are things you can do, like ask for reliability and risk protection, a power purchase agreement of 12 to 20 years. And I have 8 or so pages I'd be happy to share with you guys, make copies for you, that came from the Hoosier Environmental Council's website. They are a wealth of information. They've done the research for you. They know what state bills go alongside these decisions, and those state bills are being passed well before these corporations are purchasing land and coming here and doing what they're doing, because they're getting their ducks in a row so they can do whatever they want. So a couple people referred to IDEM as that's on IDEM. Well, as of March 5th, Senate bill just was passed that takes away almost just all kinds of items, rights and responsibilities. This is coming down from the top. This is from the White House down. It's being pushed through in state after state. They're taking the powers away from the people. Check into SB 277 that just pushed through at the last minute. They changed all this stuff. They pushed 126 pages through with 4 days notice to people. It barely passed, and people were coerced into changing their votes. 4 members changed their votes, which has been happening on other bills as well. That is going to affect. So what I see you saying is that you're going to rely on the safety of another agency to protect us, and I think that it's gone. They're stripping it away bill by bill. So other companies in other states, they have put in these plants, and then they stripped away these protections. So then when the data center wants to grow or they want to do gas-powered facilities, they then find out that this law just changed and nobody has a say on what they're doing any longer at a local level. Not the residents, nobody. It's coming from the governor. So be careful what you let them in here, please. And do not be afraid to be as restrictive as necessary, overly so. If it deters them, if it makes them go away, then that says to me we don't want them here anyway. That's all I got to say.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jocelyn Whitaker. I live in Marion, Indiana, 2503 South Valley Avenue. I did not hear, as you were going through, an impact on health or the environment. These are the citizens, just like the people in a church are the church. What's going to happen when we, 20 years from now, have respiratory and health issues? What about the water, ground contamination? And I'm not talking about just surface. I'm talking about chemicals that are going into the ground. What happens when we start seeing deformities of children and adults? What happens when our cancer rates go up? What are you going to do there? What about the noise pollution, the 90 decimeters that have to be taken care of? Hearing loss and so on. We have RCA and people have died. Where is the study, the research for that? General Motors, the first members in the 50s. Where is the documentation for that? Where is Dana? Where's the documentation? Everything that looks good on paper is not good. Are we going to get $20 million up front before they come in? And just as the former speaker spoke, SB 277 is dangerous to us because we will not have any rights. We will not be able to control anything. And that's coming. Let's talk about SB 1. We all wanted property taxes to be reduced, but we really didn't understand what that reduction was going to mean. That means a cut in law enforcement. Where will that money come from? That means a cut in how much money our schools will get. Are we willing to do a referendum? Are we Carmel, Noblesville? No, we're not those areas. Where are the jobs going to come from? And who's going to pay for the health coverage and so on? We already have had that cut. Do we want a data center coming to Grant County? We already have the Bitcoin, and that was done by night. When I say by night, the information was not put out. This is well documented, but it's still so many places. The most important thing I did not see was that environmental and health impact. And the reason that was not there is because it deals with human lives. So what are we going to do? And why do they need to come to Grant County? We have a lot of spaces that have no people around. Why aren't data centers being built there? Why are you building data centers in places where there are women, there are children, there are men, there are cattle, where food is being produced? And how will that land be used after the contamination? Or will it be useful? Do we want another Love Island in Grant County? Simple as that. Woo.
My name's Russell Sheets. I got a problem with that data center simply because they use too much water. Who's going to guarantee that our wells will not run out? Because there's a factory that was over in Palmerton and ran tomatoes 3 months out of the year. The ponds would lower when that factory ran. So if that factory caused them ponds to lower, what's going to cause our wells? Because the smallest data center takes 1 million gallons a day. So who is going to guarantee and who are we going to sue? Is it going to be Grant County or is it going to be the people when we run out of water? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cassie Moriarty. I live at 441 North Washington Street. I am a small business owner looking to expand. And unfortunately, one of the biggest things that come with data centers is electricity and other rate hikes across the board. I know you referenced the IURC, which has already shown thus far this year that they are not on behalf of the people, they are on behalf of corporations. I know they've already echoed that that's clear, but something else I want to highlight here that hasn't really been mentioned is that Grant County can only do so much, and if we let them in at all, they will take everything we have. Specifically, the IURC is investigating AES and now CenterPoint, which I use CenterPoint for my gas here. The reason why this matters is because they're investigating them, but that doesn't mean that our rates will not hike. I know you briefly mentioned the possibility of trying to guarantee that. And unfortunately, there are several state laws, including the state tax exemption for data centers, which makes Indiana look like a wonderful tax haven for them to come here. I think all of these things combined make it to where even if we were to make some very stringent requirements, they would find a way around it, whether through eminent domain or a larger government organization such as the state of Indiana coming in and telling us that what we legislated and internally is no longer valid because they said so. So in total, I'm just wholly against data centers in Grant County. It is a rural county at 60,000 people. And I've already seen people posting on Facebook that if a data center comes here, they would want to leave. And I think that alone speaks to volumes. We're seeing that there are hundreds trying to come to Indiana. Why? And with that, I rest.
I thank you for what you just said, and it should be noted that the state has granted sales tax exemption for these data centers for all their computing equipment. That's a 7% free ride for them coming to Indiana. Don't appreciate that myself. Take it up with your state senator or representative.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. I'm the County Council. Greetings, sir. I'm Brian Dedamore. I've lived in this county pretty much 62 years. Saturday, while I was sitting here watching a friend of mine pass away, I read in the Chronicle Tribune that you gentlemen and ladies put a memorandum on this on this data center for 2 years. And I applaud you. For the first time in a long time, I applaud all you guys for doing something that was right, that it should be stopped. It should have a 2-year moratorium on this, and I was proud of you guys. And then I get a text message today, you guys are having a meeting about it. Mm-hmm. I come here today to look at you guys and say, pass that, put it on, stop it now. These guys have been through every part of Indiana trying to put data centers in here, and almost all of them have been stopped. They're in Grant County now to put it on here because they've been stopped across the state. They're looking at us because they look at us as easy and manipulative, that they can come to us and convince us to do it. Stop it. Put a 2-year moratorium on it. Put restrictions on them if you guys are going to have it. Make it some of the most restrictive restrictions on it. Make sure that our water, our everything is perfect. Because I do not want to see anything wrong with Grant County. If you're going to have it, no periodically, monthly. Mm-hmm. Make everything no periodically, monthly. Have it outside. Don't make it state regulatory, because we already know EPA is being overrun by Donald Trump and his people. They're not going to be perfect. Get outside people to make sure they're legit. If not, put a 2-year moratorium on it. Let's make sure we have all of our ducks in a row if you're going to approve it. If not, kill it. Data centers in this county. That's my thought on this matter, ladies and gentlemen.
Our president asked me to say a little something about that, and really the commissioners, which is not us, we are the Area Plan Commission, but the Board of Commissioners, there are 3 of them. They put the moratorium in place, and really it's thanks to many of you in this room putting pressure on them. We weren't hearing anything about them putting on a moratorium until the listening session started. 2 of them were completed, and public input got back to them through your calls as well and emails. So you did have an effect. So.
Can I help clarify that?
Yes.
The moratorium is not in place yet. It has just been sent to legal to be written so that at the county commissioners meeting on the 16th, they can be presented with that and then pass it.
Okay.
My name is Jackie Sheets. I live over by Matthews. I'm definitely against data centers, but should we be able to put into the ordinance maybe some kind of requirement like the sound walls, like along I-69? I mean, would that help if it was built like that around their things? And then the decommissioning, it doesn't mention anything about underground, so it just talks about removing things above ground. Is there nothing that will be underground? And last, the reason their data centers are coming in because we all use data. So maybe we should all try and cut down on our own personal use data.
My name's Rebecca Zirkle. I live on the west side. I'm also a local small business owner. I own the orchard across from Dana, which I've heard rumored for 2 years now is a proposed data center site. I'm concerned about the water usage. Through my research, I found that there are multiple different ways for data centers to be getting water. It's not just through mining the ground. So I'm curious why there isn't a little bit more language about how they're going to get the water. It could be funded through the city or different runoffs. It seems that could be incorrect, but I'm interested in seeing a little bit more information on that. And also, living on the west side for almost the last 10 years, our community over there is not one that's already super wealthy. Our homes are old built homes. So when you're talking about vibration of our infrastructures, on top of mental health, I don't think that that's going to be a great idea. You can talk about ensuring property value for those of us that are close to the proposed land, but myself as a young person would not move to a place and pay that property value for a home or property that's next to a data center. So while that could be guaranteed to us, it's all up to the buyer, as well as I'm not certain what my last point was, but I'm interested in seeing some more opportunities for different water gathering options and protecting the west side. We're already in industrial space. We already deal with sound pollution from GM and other factories in that area. So I think that it could be built up a little bit more before it was brought further back down.
Nelson, 8014 Wheeling Pike, Jonesboro. I just wanted to make a quick statement. I know we've all been repeatedly told that there's no planned development at exit 255, but I have recently been in contact with a lot of people who are fighting the same situation in Howard County right now. And I just wanted to note that it is identical to what we are doing, about to copy and paste for exit 255. They were presented with 750 acres that they wanted to rezone for the potential business to come in. No plan, nothing in the works. Nobody set up to come in. They just want the community to rezone the 750 acres here, conveniently right off 31 and the battery plant over there, for what might come. And I just find that very funny that at the exact same time we are doing this at an interstate exchange, copy and paste plan is happening in Howard County, right beside us, when all of this data boom is going across Indiana. So even though we are repeatedly told there is nothing in the works, nothing is planned, I urge you to try to get this in place as fast as possible, because I do feel as though we are at risk, and it does need to be as restricted as we could make it, because the threat is there and it is going to continue to come. So thank you.
Brittany, do you know if that's the one off 400?
I just know it's off the 31 bypass and there's a battery plant.
I drive past it every day. I've seen the signs already.
My name's Chris Parker. I live at 10797 North, 100 East in Roanoke in Huntington County. You might ask why I'm here. I'm running for Senate District 17. So it's presented me some opportunities to appear in the community. I came to the Exit 255 listening sessions to be able to try to understand what the opportunities were in investigating the feasibility study, as it talked about data center opportunities, talked about some things that I didn't quite understand, such as the use of 1 million gallons of water a day for the cooling system. I don't know what that means. The system, or the study itself, said that it was the same amount of water that Upland, Gas City, and Fairmount use on a daily basis. That's a lot of water. I've watched quite a number of internet videos with the benefit of data, I'm sure, to be able to understand the impact of the water consumption out of the water table and subsequent discharge back into the surface water and water table, and the impact that that has on well water in a community. So in a community where water is a significant resource for life, vibrant neighborhoods, vibrant community, it's exceptionally important to protect that. I'd suggest investigating closed loop cooling systems. There's some fallacies there. I'm not an expert. I'm an internet sleuth. And there's some challenges because the water quality is impacted even with a closed loop system. I'd suggest that you don't allow it if you wouldn't drink it. The data center would also, a data center, exit 255, would use the same amount of electricity. I didn't know, so I did a little chat GPT, again, data. But it said it would use the same amount of electricity as 1.7 million homes. That's a lot of homes. ChatGPT also said there's over 40 data centers scheduled for Indiana. Anticipates significant spikes in utility rates. Even with the IRURC's preparations, trying to maintain regulatory caps, the consumption is going to significantly outpace the generation that we have on hand. I'd encourage you to consider opportunities for this to be a brownfield of tomorrow, whatever that is, not just exit 255, but wherever the opportunity might present itself. As some of the prior speakers have said, consider things like regular water discharge tests. Consider the impact of bankruptcy of the company when it comes to decommissioning and accountability. That company may not be profitable. Many times these companies are sold on several occasions. In the instance of the exit 255 data center opportunity, that would not be Amazon developing that site. An Italian company would develop that site. So when it comes to holding an international corporation accountable, that could be very challenging despite the domestic regulations and trying to actually get to the funding that would reimburse the citizens, whether that's the citizens of Grant County or tax funds, relief funds through the state of Indiana to try to make whole the community. So consider the prevention opportunities to ensure that there's good foresight. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Thank you for your time.
Ownership in this? What's the transfer of ownership?
Yeah, we do. Okay. Well, we'd have it in this other one.
We need it in this. Okay.
This one.
Hello, I am Brianna Yance. Is it? May I use your pen, sir? There's no.
Not a pen?
No, sir.
So I stole the pen.
That's okay. It'd be like that. I am Brianna Yance. I am from, well, here originally, Sweetser technically. Born and bred here, through and through Hoosier. I think that I can speak for a majority of everybody here, including friends and family that are not here. We do not want this here. Between the health problems that I feel like it can bring on, the water consumption, which everybody I think has touched base on. I feel like us as a nation and as the global world scale, we are already on a course for a lack of water, a water bankruptcy. We don't want something like this here. And quite frankly, I love my Indiana views. The sunset, the sunrises, when I come out of my house, I don't want to see a 4-story tall building that buzzes like a cicada. I would prefer to have cicadas, but with that, it's going to affect a lot of our wildlife. I don't really see people moving to a town like a couple people said. I don't think anybody really wants to move to a town that has a giant brick on it, you know? So, kind of keep it short and sweet because I really don't have anything that's not personal to say or opinionated, but I feel like it's bad for the environment, bad for electricity, bad for us on our tax dollars, because at the end of the day, you're talking about an international company will come in, who's going to hold them accountable? It ain't us. Is it going to be our government? Higher than us? Do they really care? From point of view of a lot of the places that I've already seen and what I've been through, they don't really care about us small town folks when they can get money out of it. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to take our resources first, and then they'll take our money, and then it'll just be us left with what? No water, fiending for water, asking other people to rely on our neighbors when they're dividing us already. That's really it. I think we should just think about who is actually for us and who is not for us. Thank you.
My name's Chris Parker. I took the pen off the podium. I came clean. I came clean.
We had our suspicions.
I called it out.
Hello, I'm Vanessa Stevens, 750 South at Upland. So I'm here supporting Upland residents. I just want to say that when you guys were talking, all I heard was negative things. I've heard nothing about what it's going to do for us. What are the positives of having a data center here? I've heard none of that. Even my research is nothing but bad things. So with that being said, I think that we need to look at, does the risk, right now the risk outweighs the rewards. I'm not saying anything good. And I think that we need to go hard on these restrictions. Let's strangle them with restrictions. Let's go hard. And that's all I have to say. Other than, I don't think you've been recording so much for transparency.
Well, it says
And that dot red?
yeah, it says recording in progress. Right?
That's it?
Yeah, it's on the red dot.
It doesn't look like
I do make mistakes.
Hello, my name's Ben Tadovich. I live at 813 West Manor Drive. And we were talking about risk just now, and I want you to consider data centers on the upper end employ about 100 permanent positions. On the lower end, sometimes one. So are you willing to risk the quality of our water? Because studies are showing permanent water table impacts from pollution to just levels. Are you willing to risk the air quality, which we have started to see can reach as far as 20 miles from the plant? And are you willing to risk our electricity bills for the sake of between 1 and 100 people's employment? I don't think it's worth it. It's totally just an inversion of value. And then if this company were to go under, we've got a ginormous building, sometimes hundreds of acres up in South Bend. They've got a 900-acre plant going in. What do you do with that? And we've addressed that a little bit, but I just find it kind of concerning that the words, we don't want to put the burden on them with our restrictions. I think absolutely, if you're coming in and taking hundreds of acres of our land and affecting the groundwater for 60,000 people, you absolutely should be carrying all of the burden. There's not a good way to keep them filtering the water and putting it back into the ground. There's also not a good way to stop their cooling systems from leaking. So just consider that. I know you are. That's the purpose of this whole meeting. But there's a lot more risk currently, and there's long-term impacts that we don't know fully yet. And the short-term impacts are already pretty detrimental. So thank you for your time.
For the sake of time, anyone else would like to speak?
I'm Raymond Bear from Upland area. Unfortunately, I think the perception of the room is that the county area plan can stop a data center anywhere in Grant County. It cannot stop Marion from annexing property and making a data center in the city limits of Marion. The electricity can be just as drawn from inside of the city limits of Marion as it can from one that's put in the county. It can still affect your water just like one out in the county. But this board has no influence over the city's doings. This room, in my opinion, needs to go to the cities that have the capabilities of putting in these data centers without the area plans influence, and let your influence those boards. Because the area plan commission is already with the intent of doing what they can to stop them. I don't know if the cities are in that same state of mind.
Thank you, Raymond, for clarifying that.
So what meetings do we need to go to?
Yeah, what cities?
City council.
Ones are allowed.
Marion City Council.
Any council that is, any city that is not run by area plan, which is,
Marion and Gas City.
can you specify, Mr. Chairman, which towns are not run by area plan? Or
Upland is independent, Gas City is independent, Marion is independent, and Swayze.
I'll be brief. I just have a real quick question. My name is Kathy Patterson. I live in Grant County for many, many years. One of my problems is the emissions. Grant County is one of the highest cancer rates. We all know it. Sunnycrest, in one block, there's been 10 women that's had breast cancer. You go to Brinker Heights, there's a whole load of people that have died from different cancers and stuff. You go to the oncology center out here and you just see clusters of different areas that, I feel like, the emissions, the water pollutions. In addition to that, is this a done deal? I mean, are they actually coming in? Is this a done deal?
That needs to be asked to Marion City Council.
Because I feel if it's a done deal, then I feel like the Grant County Commission could set up some very high standards that maybe they wouldn't come in here after we let them know exactly how we feel about them.
The county has a 2-year moratorium once it's passed by the commissioners that no data centers will be developed. That would be the protection in the short run, giving the Area Planning Commission the opportunity to develop an ordinance, which I think is what the favor of the commissioners would be. As I will repeat that the county does not have jurisdiction over annexed land or area that cities have.
But we do have ordinances that we could set that would be stringent in keeping these companies from coming in, correct?
Only on county jurisdiction, not on city annexed ground. Cities have their own ordinances to control what goes on within the annexed area of the cities.
In regards to the power supply, I have read that they can get their own power supply and they don't need to use ours. Besides solar, I knew there are nuclear plants that are now out of commission that can be used to power those, so they don't necessarily have to come into our electrical grid.
Those come with their own risks as well.
Yes, exactly. Other than that, I have to tell each one of you people here, every one of you, I feel like in my heart, you have Grant County in your hearts too. And from the questions you were asking before we even started asking, you answered a lot of those questions. You did a great job in explaining things to us. I thank you so much for that. The water input, the different, I really feel like you guys have our backs. Can I feel that way? I mean, can we really feel that you have the citizens of Grant County's backs? Because that's what we want. We just want what's right for us. I mean, if this is bringing 300 jobs in, I'd say bring it on. It's not. More than likely, they'll hire their own techs to bring in. So thank you guys. I just want to tell you all thank you, and I hope the rest of you guys feel the same way I did, that you asked the questions that we were really wanting to know. And we didn't really get the right answers, but I believe that Mr. Glancy will take it upon himself to get those answers that we were all asking, including yours. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? One more? Anyone else like to speak?
I'll say a word. I'm Mark Rankle, lifetime farmer in Grant County, previously on the area plan. And I appreciate the area plan. You know, we just went through this lousy solar trying to come in to Grant County. And we were able to get an ordinance to protect the homes, the people, and Grant County in general. And I appreciate the area plan. And I know you guys will draw an ordinance that will be for the safety of the people. So I encourage you and thank you. And I'm definitely against any data center.
I want to thank everyone for coming this evening. We will take the information that's been shared with us into account, and we'll ask that Mr. Glancy put that into a form as we move forward. I am uncertain as to when we will meet again. The Planning Commission will talk about that, and we'll make sure that everyone is notified when that meeting does occur again. So thank you for coming. We'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, did I?
I have a question. Shut this off real quick.
Yeah.